Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ambitious Amplified, powered by Ambitious Entertainment. I'm Isaac Orange, and today I'm very lucky to have such a special guest joining me. Please give a warm welcome to the very talented painter, Antonio Adamo. Antonio, I'm very excited to say you are the first painter. I'm
Wow, really?
is something different, and coming from I do my own paintings and art as
Yeah.
well. Hopefully, I've chosen some pretty good questions for today. Some stuff that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
uh yeah. Just to get us started, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what made you want to start painting?
For sure. First off, I want to say thank you for the, opportunity and everything. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I'm Antonio Damo, 19 years old. I started mainly doing art as a whole because I would always see my grandma inspired me a lot because she was an abstract painter. So seeing her, growth with everything and her paintings, everything, it made me inspired and want to like pick up painting and just art in general. I was like super big into drawing when I was super little, and just seeing her do her paintings and everything, it really like opened up a new horizon for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That kind of also leads up into this next question I have, which is where does your inspiration come from when you're working on a new piece? You said a little bit comes from your grandma, but where else?
Um, I'll say like a lot of like pop culture stuff, whether that be like music. I'm very into music. I'm really into like movies. I'm really into like anything like that. Like I did theater growing up, so like I've always been into like just the arts as a whole. So just seeing everything with that, it kind of like just shaped me into like who I am and what my passion for it as a whole.
Yeah, I definitely see that a lot of your paintings seem to just have a certain figure in them, either
Yeah.
from music or movies. Are there any characters, actors, or musicians that you want to do a painting of next?
Oh. Off the top of my head, the first person that came to mind was like Pete Davidson. I don't know why. I've always liked his movies. I'll say that I've always liked like him. Like I used to watch a lot of like SNL, and that's kind of how he like grew in fame. So I would always watch a lot of his stuff. Um, like him. I know like Tyler the Creator does a lot of like he did a lot of acting too. So like I'd say maybe him in the future. But yeah, I'd say like those two.
Cool. And when you're coming up with a new piece, what is usually your process? What does that look like?
Um, Honestly, just like a color scheme. I feel like if I pick it, like I did a painting of Amy Winehouse, and I kind of took a lot of like colors that she would wear from like her clothes. So I would have like a lot of like pinks and like some dark blues and reds in there to kind of like just not make it so random, but make it like make everything flow good. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of color scheme, would you say that you have a favorite color scheme that you definitely notice when looking at your work? You've included um, a lot of.
Um, it depends. Like depending on like who or what the subject matter is, I would say like a lot of like bright neon colors, like a lot of pinks and a lot of like yellows and blues. I'm not I'm not like afraid to like show that in my art. I know a lot of people do like a lot of like monotone colors because it like I get a lot of commissions where it's like, can I get something that'll like match the theme of my house? But that's not really like what I do. You know what I mean? I do a lot more like colorful paintings and everything.
Yeah, something a little less natural, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
And what would you say the style is that you paint in?
I'd say like pop art. I'd say a lot of pop art. Like a lot of like my inspo comes from a lot of like pop art artists or like abstract artists because they do just because like they use a lot of like bolder colors, a lot of like patterns and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite pop artist? Anyone coming to mind?
Um, I'd say like off the top, like Banksy or like because I do a lot of like stencils in my paintings, so I'll say like Banksy or like Terry Urban or like Matt Edmondson, just like people along like those lines.
With those stencils, are you cutting them out by hand, or do you have like a machine doing it for you?
So it's like I do this thing. It's called like a grid method. So like I'll get the photo of like the stencil, and then I'll kind of like grid it out on the canvas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And how long does a painting or project usually take?
It depends. You know, the more detail, it'll take more time. It depends really, because like you could have a super small painting, but if it's got a lot of detail, it'll take longer than just like a more basic one on a bigger canvas. If that makes sense.
What's been the longest one you've had to take on, or you've took on?
Um, it would probably have to be. I did a painting of. It was JFK, and it took so long just because like the, you know, obviously I want the client to make sure that like the painting looks good and everything, and he was just very particular, which isn't a bad thing. You know, he liked what he liked, and I, you know, had to make sure that he is 100% with it. So it took about like an hours. I don't know, but it took probably like a couple months, probably like 2 months.
Got it. Yeah. And you've kind of talked a little bit about this so far, saying that you paint in the style of pop art, but you're also very influenced by pop culture. My next question was, your art seems very pop art and pop culture inspired. Can you describe where that came from?
It didn't really come from somebody. I don't know. It's just something I like kind of gravitated towards. Like I was always interested in like portraits, so I would do a lot of like drawings. Like, you know, I would do like a Scarface portrait, or I would do like Joker, Spider-Man, just stuff like that. Just stuff I was interested in, like movies or whatever the case is. But I was like, well, how could I change this? And I kind of went in, you know, like the more I would do art, the more I would like look more into and do my research of other artists to kind of see like what else I could do, because I didn't want to limit myself. So I had a project that I did in my senior year where you had to like make 10, you had to pick a theme and make 10 projects basically about what the theme is. So the theme I picked was like, what does childhood look like? And I wanted to add a picture of me and my brother to this to the assignment, and I was like, why not? I'll try painting for the first time. And it was a picture of me and my brother, and I like made the stencil and everything. I went in there's this app, it's called like Stencil FX. I made a stencil of like me and my brother, and then I made this like painting kind of inspired by like the artist that I look up to.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You've said so far you've done mainly like portrait style perspective. Would you ever want to play around with the perspective that you like draw or paint the person, or is that something that's a little bit
What do you mean by like perspective?
kind of like fisheye, or
I'd be open to it. You know, I'm always like wanting to grow as an artist and not just like limit myself to one thing. I literally started painting like taking it like more seriously, quote unquote, like back in May. So it wasn't something that I was like always gravitated towards. I was honestly pretty nervous, but you know, with that project, I thought it was a great opportunity to kind of step outside my comfort zone a little bit and just try something new.
yeah,
Um, I'd be down for it. You know, I'm not like opposed to it. It's just something I haven't tried like yet.
yeah. I don't know. I really like when artists play with perspective, because you learn how to draw human figures or faces,
Yeah, 100%.
way, and then you have to draw it in a way where everything or one thing is bigger than the other,
For
or
sure.
you're looking at it where a camera would be like super up close to one angle is, and finding out how to draw that. There's some people who just do it really well, and you know, it's a great place for art right now.
100%.
So
100%.
at the moment, what would you say are your favorite like 3 art pieces that you've made?
My favorite three, I'd probably say it was this Britney Spears painting that I did. That was like the first like artist quote unquote painting that I did. Um, because I don't know, I had a lot of like older cousins that were like there. I had a lot of like girl cousins growing up, and I was like one of like the younger ones. So like they would always listen to a lot of like the pop art or like the pop artists back then that were like pretty big. So like Rihanna, Britney Spears, Katy Perry, like just stuff from that era. So I don't know. It was like just something from my childhood that I kind of wanted to do. That, the painting of me and my brother that I did, and then probably the painting that I'm going to work on next. I got this commission piece that I'm going to be making for a client in Idaho, and that one's gonna. I feel like that one's going to be pretty cool.
Great choices. Other than your Instagram, do you have a online portfolio where you post your work, or how would if people are not on Instagram, how would they see your work?
Honestly, I don't, and excuse me. I honestly should. I just I don't know. I don't know why I haven't made it. I don't really know how to. I'll look into it more. I know I should. Um, but no, I don't have anything else. I know I have like TikTok and everything, but like for someone who doesn't have social media, I feel like I should, take advantage of that.
Yeah, there's this really easy Adobe platform. Uh, I forget what it's called. I think it's Adobe Express to build websites, and it's basically laid out like Illustrator or Photoshop, just really easy to use, really easy to learn, and you don't have to know any coding to make a multiple page website. So I'll definitely recommend something along those lines, because one of the most important things for an artist to have, especially if they want to get their stuff out there, is a like online portfolio.
For sure.
Yeah, so I noticed you also just did an art piece on boots, and you've done a couple art pieces on shoes. Are there any other mediums you would like to work with in painting on, or is like the sky the limit?
Honestly, sky's the limit. I just started painting on bags, so like leather bags. I just did this painting. It was of like Betty Boop on this Coach bag. I just wanted to try something new, kind of just experiment a little bit, and I got a lot of good feedback on it, which was pretty cool. Hopefully some more bags in the future. Um, I still like doing the Timberlands, the Uggs, everything like that. Um, Sky's pretty much the limit as long as like I could find the right material that'll stick, like the right paint that'll stick to the material. Sky's pretty much the limit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. When I was in junior year of high school, I went to a family friend's place, and just like laying on the ground there, they had these 10-foot tall mirrors that connected to like sliding doors. And I asked if I could borrow one of them for like an art piece, and painted the entire rim of the mirror with just like different flowers. And it was
Pretty cool.
It was super cool. Speaking of different art mediums, or are there any different art mediums you'd like to experiment with, like pottery, stained glass, mixed media, Photoshop, or is it gonna continue to be painting for the time?
Probably tattooing. I just started doing a tattoo apprenticeship, so hopefully within the next like year and a half, I can start tattooing and kind of grow my portfolio with that. That was like the main goal with everything. I've always just been so like passionate about art, but I wanted to kind of take it to like a next step. And I would always I was always looking for like a tattoo apprenticeship, because I didn't want to like get nobody infected or nobody sick or nothing. So I wanted to just, kind of take the right path and learn from somebody who's got more like skin in the game, if that makes sense.
It is hard being a tattoo artist, though, because like sometimes, let's say if someone comes into the shop and they ask for a tattoo that is just abysmal or completely dumb, and you got to look them in the face and be like, this is going to be on your body for the rest of your life. Are you sure you want? What do you think you'll do in those cases where you don't really want to tattoo something, but someone is asking for it, and it is like paid job, so the person is paying you?
I mean, if they're willing to pay, then I gotta do the service. You know what I mean? If it's something like, I'll warn them. Obviously, I'm not just gonna be like, yeah, let's do it. I'll like we had a person come into the shop for like a face tattoo, and the guy kind of like sat her down, being like, this is gonna be like on your face forever, right? So it's not just like we're gonna do what the client said. I mean, obviously we are gonna do what the client says, but we're just gonna kind of like, are you sure, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Going back into the questions, I also see that you do custom murals. Do you
Mhm.
reach out to your clients, or do clients reach out to you? And what does that process usually look like?
So for the custom murals, honestly, it's just like I would call a lot of places and kind of just put myself out there, kind of, because like, and this is how I was thinking about it. If like no one, if I'm a muralist and I don't post that I do murals, who's gonna come want a mural from me? So I kind of had to put myself out there in that position. Like, if you need a mural, let me know, and I would call a bunch of different places, and just, you know, one led to another, and then, people reach out like, oh, I saw on Facebook they do murals. Can you do mine? And then like the more you post from that, it's like a domino effect. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, I don't love, being on social media and like putting myself out there. But like, if that's how it's gotta be, then you kind of have to get out of that comfort zone and just put yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And how much creative design do you have when you're making a mural compared to the overall direction the person who hired you is wanting to go?
I'd say like it's a 50-50 split. Like, because at the end of the day, it's like what you want. Obviously, like, if you like, I did this mural for a La Michoacana that just opened up, like an ice cream shop, and they wanted butterflies, but they didn't know like if they wanted the butterflies to like swoop up, or if they wanted like small ones, big ones. So I kind of like went in and showed them what I was thinking for the butterflies, and then kind of like let them kind of pick and choose from there. I obviously I don't want to like not make your idea come true, if that makes sense. I want me and you to work like 50-50 on the project, so like we're both 100% with it before I start painting anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And this sort of leads into my next question, which is how do you end up designing a client's idea, something that is written or spoken into a mural?
Um, I kind of talk with them like, what kind of colors did you want? What kind of like some reference photos of like the style? Because like, let's say a client came up to me wanting like a lion and they had a vision in mind. Like, I can't read their mind. So I kind of go back and forth with them on like, do you want it to be the full wall? Do you want it to be super big, super like kind of smaller? You get what I'm saying? I don't want to just come in just kind of like doing my own thing. I like to do a mock-up for my clients to kind of give them a better idea of how it'll look on top of the wall. So I'll come in, I'll take a picture of the wall, and then kind of do the design on that, so then they could have more trust instead of just being like, just trust the process type of thing. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And are these usually paid like by the hour or like by finished job?
I do like buy finished, but I'll take like, I usually take like a deposit, just because like, just to be safe on my end. I take like a deposit just in case. You know what I mean? I don't want to paint the wall and then not get paid.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest issues, like, first off, uh, you seem to not have an issue in working with large scale.
Mm.
A lot of artists do. A lot of artists do. Me especially. I'd rather paint on something like a smaller canvas and put a lot of detail into that rather than a larger canvas because I feel like I'm going to just spend a lot more time on it, try to detail the whole thing out.
Mhm.
How do you get around that fear of working on a large space?
It was kind of just like just let's do it type of thing. I didn't really think much into it. I did my first mural with like 2 paintings under my belt. I wasn't really thinking too deep into it. I was just kind of like we'll do it day by day. Obviously, like I wasn't like going to the extreme, like I gotta be here from 12 a.m. to 12, I don't gotta be here 24 hours. I just kind of gotta break it up and just take it day by day. It's not too, for me, it wasn't too crazy at the end of the day, because the first mural I did was just like some paint drips coming down from the ceiling. It wasn't, but yeah, just breaking it up, kind of like a puzzle. You kind of start from like the corners and then you go in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's kind
absolutely.
of how I looked at it.
Would you ever want to do like though graffiti in Chicago or city work with that uh, large space canvas and get your name out there for someone to see what you could do if you weren't paid, but just if you really wanted to do it?
For sure. If the opportunity did come up, 100% I'd take it.
Yeah,
I've only been posting and like kind of putting myself out there for like a year now, so hopefully like in the future, that'd be
yeah,
super cool. I'm super down for that.
absolutely. So what are some consistent themes that you feel like you put into your pieces when you're making art?
Um, a lot of like I feel like there's like a few. So like one of them is like a lot of pet portraits. I do a lot of like pet portraits. That or like I murals too. I've got a few people like reaching out for like murals as well. And then probably just for custom, I don't know, with the custom stuff, it really just depends, because it's like everybody has their own thing that they want like customized. So nothing's ever going to be like the same. Um, like I got some custom paintings that I'm doing right now. One is of like a UFC fighter, and then I got another painting. It's like some cowboy. So it's like it's completely different. It's always different. I'll say that. It's always
Yeah,
different.
got it. The theme is always changing.
Yeah.
And, art is a visual medium of expression at its core. How do you feel like you are expressing yourself in your art at the moment?
I feel like I'm expressing myself just with like how with the content, just like kind of taking people through the process of like what I'm doing, and like if someone wants the custom painting, like this is what they could do to get a custom painting. Just showing like the more authentic side of like being an artist, quote unquote. The main reason why I like do what I do is to kind of just show the people that like a more authentic side to it, instead of just like the perfection of everything. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know. Now, just for a little bit of a game, I'm going to do some art this or that questions where I'll present two options and just choose which one you prefer.
For sure.
Firstly, pencil sketch or pen sketch?
Pencil.
Acrylic or oil?
Acrylic.
Day painting or night painting?
Night painting.
Abstract art or pop art?
Pop art.
Freehand or planned out?
Planned out.
Large museum or small gallery?
Small gallery.
Yeah, I absolutely prefer the small gallery too. So
100%.
I just feel like there's more of a interchange of pieces in
Mhm.
smaller galleries. Like if I go on 1 week versus the next week, I'm going to see completely different stuff.
For sure.
So when you're in the zone in painting, are you usually listening to music, podcast, or is it just like working in silence?
A little bit of everything, honestly. Like I'll put on, I'll watch whether it be like a movie, like a podcast, like you said. I started listening to a lot of like Joe Rogan, because he's always has like someone so interesting on. So just like listening to stuff like that is just like the hours go by quick when I feel like when I put on like a podcast like that. Um Yeah, I just anything like that. I don't know. It just depends on like the day. I could be complete silence. I could listen to a podcast, blast music. It just depends on the day. Do a little bit of everything.
Sometimes I feel like when I'm putting on a podcast or movie or TV show when I'm working on uh, a new art piece, the movie or TV show is so interesting that I have to just look up and
Yeah,
talk
I feel
a
that.
little bit. Do you see that affecting you, or is it more like you could focus on both at the same time?
Here and there, sometimes, it comes down to like the discipline of it. It's like, how bad do I want to get this done? If I want to take multiple breaks, but still like work on it just depends. Just depends on the day.
Yeah, yeah. And would you say your process is more of a like relaxing process? If you don't want to work on art, you don't feel like you need to work on it, uh, or do you like try to push through even when you don't really want to do it?
If it's like if it's like a project that like it's for me, I don't need to like rush on it. But if it's like a commission that like I don't want to have the person waiting for so long, then I kind of like push through it, because obviously like I don't want a bad rep on my name. So like to get it done quick would be ideal. But obviously stuff with life happens and everything like that. But
Yeah.
I always try to just communicate with like the client that I'm working with, like, whether it be progress photos or videos or just stuff like that, just to kind of keep them in the loop with everything.
Speaking of that, when a commission comes out or when a business orders a custom mural for you, do they usually order it with like they want it done by this date, or is that talked about once you actually get in conversation with the business?
Probably once I get in conversation with the business, if they're wanting a mural, if they reach out wanting a mural, like if they want me to start tomorrow and I'm busy like all next month, you can't just like come up to me with like that kind of attitude.
Hmm.
You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, absolutely. Because they're acting like your time
Yeah,
worth as much as theirs.
100%.
So, how do you push through a piece when you feel like it's not going well, especially maybe a commissioned piece?
Um, I'd say like either like take a break for a little bit, like drink some water, get like stretch for a little bit, or like depending on like the hour of the day, I'll like either go to the gym or like just take a break or go to another piece just to kind of get like out of that headspace.
Yeah, absolutely. Something one of my old art teachers always used to say was uh, every hour you work on an art piece, you should always take like a couple steps back and see it from a distance to make
Right.
sure you're doing like what you want to do. And it's completely different from looking at art pieces or paintings up close versus, 10 feet away. So do
Yeah.
you see yourself doing that at times,
Oh,
or?
all the time, especially for murals. Like when you're doing a mural, because it's a lot bigger scale, you kind of get like lost in the detail with everything, especially being so up close. So I tend to do it a lot. It's not like I'm just like, going with the flow with everything. I kind of have to step back and kind of see where I'm at with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And how much does physical workspace affect the mood of your paintings or the mood of you in working on paintings?
Honestly, not much. I never had like an issue of like I need to be in a certain space to do my work. Because obviously, when you're doing murals, you're always in a different spot. So I kind of, whether I liked it or not, I was gonna have to adapt regardless.
What about like cleanliness of like workspace when working on murals? Are you someone who would mess up a space as you're like working on it, or would you try to keep it clean and organized just so it's more easy?
I try to keep it more organized just because like when I finish the mural, I could just everything's in a nice, neat spot, and I could pack up and go kind of thing. But I bring like a tarp that I put a lot of my stuff on, just so that no paint drips, no spill get on the floor as well.
Yeah,
Um,
you don't need to worry about that later.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Just to keep everything nice and neat and organized on my end, and I feel like it just looks more professional overall.
and kind of a two-part question. how exactly do you know when a painting is finished, and how do you know when like something that you've been commissioned is finished?
Um, I don't know. It depends on the piece. If I am working on it for so long and there's like possibly nothing I could do to make it like any time better, I feel like then that's kind of when I just call it quits. Or if it's a commission piece, I kind of ask the client beforehand, being like, "Is this good? Do you need me to fix anything else?" Because just to keep them in the loop with everything and make sure they like it 100% before they receive it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's most important thing, especially because it's going to be on that business. So
For sure.
hopefully they like it. And who are three painters who you feel like you're really inspired by when you continue to work?
Three painters. Probably going back to like the inspos that I like listed. Banksy, Terry Irvin. Trying to think of who else. Like, there's this artist. His name is like Vane. He does a lot of paintings as well. Like, just like he's into like a lot of like the pop culture stuff too. He does a lot of paintings referencing like whether it be like athletes or artists or musicians. Just a lot of stuff like that. Just a lot of like the like nostalgic kind of characters behind his work.
Yeah. How do you feel like you show that inspiration in your work? I know you said you relate to Banksy with the use of stencils, but what about the other two that you just said?
With like Terry Urban, he does a lot of it's like collage work. So he'll get a bunch of like different like whether it be patterns or different color schemes or different mediums, just a lot of stuff like that to kind of like create his own paintings. And then for like Vame, I would say just the theme of the painting. So he'll either do like an athlete, let's say, he'll do something like that and then add a lot of like whether it be like spray paint or like just a lot of colors around it to kind of make it his own, which I think is pretty unique.
Yeah. 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 Sort of going off topic, but UCLA, their art program is built around wanting to create original art for all of their students. But because of that, they don't want any of their students to be inspired by the art that other people would make, meaning their art hall on campus is very brutalist and has no art in the entire building. And I feel like really persevere when they get to be inspired by other artists and do something that they really like that one artist does, but in their own way, you know?
Yeah.
So what do you want people to feel when they look at your art?
Like who in specific?
Just anyone. Are there any emotions you can that come to mind that you want people to think of when they come in contact?
I'd say like hopefully like you're impressed. I put a lot of time and effort into my work, and it's always like a nice feeling to hear like the nice words people have to say, or like, oh, I want like a custom piece or just stuff like that, because it means a lot. They obviously see like the the quote unquote value in my work, which is like super cool. Super, it means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And what pieces are you working on right now?
Right now, just commission pieces, stuff for like the tattoo shop. I gotta do 100 flash sheets. So I'm trying to like every week I try to get like a couple done to kind of um get that going and hopefully finish soon. Um, but then like if I get some time, I'll practice on like I'm in the process of like practicing realism with painting. So I'm doing like a big Godfather painting right now. I'm trying to practice with that. So
Which
hopefully,
one? Which Godfather?
um, Vito Corleone, like that the movie, like The Godfather,
Yeah, yeah. Part one, part two, or part three. I know.
part
Like,
one.
oh, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
And working at a tattoo shop, there's been a lot of like new styles to come out in the tattoo industry, like cyber sigilism
Hmm.
and minimalism. Do you feel like you ever like try to learn those styles, or is it not really a requirement at the tattoo shop to?
Um, from what my mentor was saying, I'm gonna have to learn a little bit of everything just so I'm like more well rounded. But I'm not like opposed to nothing. The main style I'd want to focus on is like black and gray realism, but I know I'm gonna have to do a little bit of everything, which is fine. That's that what it is with like any commission. But tattoos are basically just like commissions if you think about it.
Mhm.
So
Is
it's
there any style that you think would scare you to work on just because it's maybe too
for
above your skill level?
for what, for tattooing or
Yeah, for tattooing.
for I don't know. To be honest, I feel like I haven't been in the field so long to really like see everything. Um, Maybe like fine line, just because it has to be super precise, or else it's very noticeable.
Yeah, you got to have steady hands to do that.
Right. Right.
Something that comes to my mind for some stuff that tattoo artists are always worried on working with is like Chinese folk art, like the demons or
Mm,
dragons,
yeah.
especially because they have this specific look to them with scales and color. You know, at least with what I've seen before, it seems so detailed that only a professional or someone who is known for working in that field
Yeah.
you'd want to be tattooed by. So, what would you say the largest scale you'd feel like you'd be able to work with is?
Um, Off the top of my head, I know the biggest one I did was I think like it was like 30. It was between like 40 and 30 feet long. But I'm pretty open to anything. Obviously, I gotta, when the opportunity comes, I'd love to, you know, hit the ground and run with it. I'm just when that opportunity does come, I'd hope to do something super crazy and something that would engage more people with like bigger walls to reach out to me and just kind of build that trust with more people with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this whole field of artists that doesn't have enough artists where it's just artists that work in absolutely huge scale, like
Yeah.
abysmal scale. Like there was this one. I don't know if I could say it was a performance art
Mhm.
piece, but someone built like a sheet to cover an entire island, like
Mhm.
Scotland, and then like
Wow,
took photos of it. You
that's
know,
pretty cool.
uh, became pretty famous when it came out. So, how do you handle criticism as an artist when it ends up coming your way, or how should an artist handle criticism when it comes their way?
Um, how I look at it is like depending on who it is, because if I'm getting criticism from like someone who doesn't do art or someone that like I don't really either look up to or like know that they know what they're talking about, it's kind of just like I brush it off. But it also kind of depends on like what they're saying too. Not to get like so deep into the question. Like if someone's just like, "Oh, that's bad," okay, you don't like it, but like your friend might like. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
I do a lot of like shows where it's like I sell my prints at, and I usually walk up to like a group of people because there's always going to be someone in that group that likes it or doesn't like it, and just it's always nice to like hear what people say too. So I don't get scared when I go up to people. So when I go up to them, I'll be like, "Hey, I'm trying to, you know, I'm working with people. I'm just trying to sell some prints." And they'll look at it. Their friend might be like, "Oh, I hate this," but then their friend might see something and be like, "Oh, I love this." Like it is what it is. I feel like every no is like one step closer to a yes. So I don't really take criticism that like.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. And like the main point is don't let it get you down too much as long
yeah, there's always going to be
like
someone out there that likes it.
yeah also as long as you continue working, continue
For
making
sure, 100%.
you want to make. And any favorite small art galleries in your area you want to shout out?
Ooh, I'd say like Elmhurst College. They got a pretty cool gallery that I've been to. Um, um, Probably just Elmhurst. Probably just Elmhurst.
Two questions left. What is the hardest technique you've had to learn that feels like second nature at this moment?
Probably using markers as a medium. I didn't for the longest time I didn't understand like how to really blend with markers. So I was a lot of just trial and error. And then the thing was my ego was too big and I didn't want to like reach out to help and was kind of like, oh, I'll figure it out on my own. But then once I kind of got out of that headspace and I went to a teacher and kind of like had them kind of explain to me, it just opened up a whole different ballpark for me, and I kind of just figured it out like with the help of the mentor.
Are you using like paint pens or more Sharpies?
No, so it's actually they're called Copic markers, so it's like an alcohol based marker.
Okay.
And the nice thing about these is that they're on like more of the expensive side, but the nice thing about these is that let's say the marker runs out of ink, you don't have to like physically buy a new marker. You could just buy the ink. So instead of having to buy like multiple markers of that same red color that just died out, you get the ink and you just like kind of squeeze it into it, which is convenient, I feel like.
Yeah, that sounds very convenient. I feel like I should get some of those. And lastly, what does ambition mean to you?
Ambition means to me like putting yourself out there when people are going to doubt you regardless, and just having the courage to do what you want when other people doubt you.
Yeah. Well, I would like to thank you so much for your time. This has been Isaac Orange with Ambitious Amplified. Thank you, Antonio Adamo. This has been amazing. I've been so lucky to have you on the show. Follow Ambitious on all platforms. Follow at Art by Adamo Rocks on Instagram. And I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, man. You too. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.